Hello and welcome to insuranceinvestor.com. I'm the editor, Andrew Petwain, and today I'm joined by Maria Nazarova-Doyle, who is the head of pensions investments at Scottish Widows. Maria will be speaking at our ESG investment conference later on in the year on a panel discussion entitled, What Value Can Companies Gain from ESG Compliance and Impact Investing? Maria, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be talking to you today, Andrew.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to dive straight into our question number one. Maria, what benefits do you see from an increased uptake of the ESG ethos?
Right. So when we talk about corporates, that we as an investor, as an asset owner and investor investing, I think there's massive benefits. So more and more asset owners like us are recognizing that sustainability is very, very important. It's very important for investment returns. It's very important for risk. It's important for us to know that the companies we invest in are here for the long term, that they will be profitable, that they're not going to be hit with regulatory fines. They're not going to lose their customers because they're doing things wrong. So it's important for us to make sure we invest in responsibly in businesses that are being run responsibly. So the more uptake we see in the corporate world of ESG ethos, the better it is. So the better it is for these companies because investments will flow into them. The better it is for us as the pension provider because we have a more responsibly managed portfolio, and the better it is for our customers, the working population who are saving for retirement. So the better it is for them in terms of getting good outcomes when they come to retirement.
So that's a really interesting point there, Maria. So what would you say are the main issues that you see in the sphere of sustainable investing? And where do you see these new opportunities arising?
So I think the main issue, there's lots of issues, right? There's lots of opportunities, but the main issue for me would be kind of the data that we get from corporates, the disclosures and the fact that they're not really standardized, they're not really comparable, and methodologies are different. A lot of these disclosures are voluntary, meaning, companies decide on their own ways of, calculating particular metrics and disclosing them. So it's very hard for investors to make good quality decisions based on the data. So we have lots and lots of data now. So there's definitely no shortage of it, but it's, how we put it together and how we compare apples with apples that can make all the difference. So, but that problem is in itself an opportunity. So the opportunity to standardize disclosures to get it all on the same page, so we can make better quality decisions. So the work of ISSB is obviously going to be hugely helpful here. And then the same thing sort of applies to investment fund. So if you take it one level up, from the corporate disclosures to investment fund disclosures, I think we need to get to a point where the FCA hopefully soon brings fund labeling regime, puts it into place so investors can choose knowing, what they're getting, because again, there's no consistency in methodology, there's no consistency in naming conventions of funds, what's ESG versus responsible versus sustainable versus something else, and many people use different definitions for it. So having kind of a standardized labeling regime for funds, so investors have trust in what they're getting and they have clarity in what they're investing in, I think is going to be hugely important, and will take this kind of ESG responsible investment onto the next level.
Data and definitions there, some of the things we hear the most often, and obviously very important going forward. So my next question is about switching to impact investing. So can you talk us through impacting investing and what it is exactly, and give a sort of overview of how it differs from ESG and what it entails?
Yeah, sure. So impact investment is quite close to ESG, I suppose, so it depends on your definition. But impact investing sort of goes further. If you think about, ESG is investing, responsible investing is mostly about managing risks. Some people take the definition further to say it's also, like us, is also taking account of opportunities and trying to capitalize on opportunities. But impact is going one step up from that to say, and also insofar that we're looking after these investments and want to have lower risk and higher returns, ideally, we also want to make sure that these investments provide measurable impact, and it's intentional as well, so that when you invest for an intentional measurable impact, which is a positive outcome for the society or for the environment, and that would constitute impact investment. And it doesn't have to be concessionary. So a lot of people think, if you create a positive impact, you must be given up returns. It doesn't have to be like that at all. Yes, there are certain strategies and impact investment opportunities where you might get lower return, but at the same time, there are lots of them that you get your kind of normal level of risk and return alongside that positive measurable impact. And I think that area is particularly becoming more and more interesting for investors.
It's a fascinating area, and there's obviously so much to cover. So, my final question is the areas of impact investing that people might not be aware of. Can you sort of give us a brief overview of the nooks and crannies that we might find interesting?
um, So one area that's particularly interesting to me at the moment is place-based investing. So it's basically impact investing, but with a particular locality or community in mind. And particularly, we're a pension provider. So I think for pension funds, this is such a great opportunity to do good in their backyard, so they're based somewhere. So it'll be a pension fund of a particular business, and they're based somewhere. So they normally invest globally, but actually, they could invest a small proportion of their investment portfolio locally to try and build social housing, basically for their own employees essentially, so and members of the pension scheme, or try to improve environmental credentials of the area where the employees and membership are based, so it becomes kind of a nice win-win. So people can see that their pension is working to make their lives here and now better, so improve on the environment, improve on the social aspects. So I think that kind of thinking, that place-based investment thinking is reasonably new, particularly for pension schemes, but it's starting to get traction, and I would really love to see more of that.
It really is a fascinating topic, and I could talk to you about it all day, but unfortunately, we have to end this video. So, thank you very much today for your time, Maria. And if you found what she was talking about interesting, please join us on the 15th of September at the ESG Investment Conference in London, where you can hear Maria speaking about place-based investing, impact investing, and wider ESG themes. Thank you so much for your time today, Maria, and thank you all. I look forward to seeing you at the conference.
Excellent, thank you.